in 2015 pula kan bro, you made Malaysian sports history again by securing podium at the Monaco Formula Renault 3.5 World Series.
Betul.
How was that experience like when you dapat dengar lagu Negaraku tu dimainkan?
Wow.
Pelumba negara Jazeman Jaafar mengharumkan nama Malaysia di litar Monaco apabila muncul juara perlumbaan siri Formula Renault 3.5 dunia.
Aspirational words from Malaysian racing driver Jazeman Jaafar. But for the 25-year-old, it's not just a pipe dream. He's already tasted victory at Monaco, winning there at the 2015 Formula Renault 3.5 Series. And so why not Le Mans in 2018?
At that time, lucky. I was a bit keeping my cool because we had a problem with the car pre-race. It was tight through the first corner with Ollie Roland, but we managed to pull it through and win the race. I mean, the team is fantastic. We came a long way to get here, and I'm so happy.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Nama saya Asyrafkhalid dan bersama saya
Ishraqkamarudin.
Selamat datang ke Apa Cerita Podcast, di mana kita dengar kisah-kisah individu yang berjaya dan menarik untuk dijadikan sebagai teladan dan inspirasi. Alright Wak.
Yes.
Hari ni aku sangat excited
Aku
sebab
pun.
Kita punya guest hari ni adalah orang yang aku mengenali daripada aku kecil. Tapi aku daripada dulu tengok je lah, sebab dia selalu potong aku.
Tapi on the same track.
Same track. Aku boleh cakap aku pernah satu track dengan dia lah. Tapi dia potong aku 2-3 kali lah. Dalam 10 lap tu mungkin 2 kali lah nampak dia kan. So tetamu kita ni bukan sahaja mengharumkan nama Malaysia dalam sukan pemotoran, tapi juga berjaya melangkah ke peringkat antarabangsa.
Yep.
So he is like one of the best racing driver yang Malaysia pernah ada.
And I believe that beliau adalah salah satu first sports person yang datang ke Apa Cerita Podcast, right?
Ya, betul lah.
Yes.
Ya, betul.
So it's a special day today, I would say.
Yes, betul. Okay, Wak,
Yep.
please introduce our special guest today.
Alright, boleh. It will be my pleasure. Tapi sebelum tu kita nak shout out kepada semua penonton-penonton Apa Cerita, viewers, tolong subscribe kepada Apa Cerita.
Thank you so much. Kan kita dah lebih 40,000 subscriber.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for all your support and subscribe kepada kita punya channel.
Correct. And also, episod hari ini dibawakan khas oleh Kahf. Kahf Personal Care for Men with high quality, halal and natural inspired products.
Okay.
#Jalan yang ku pilih. Alright. So,
okay, Wak, apa hari tu banyak juga orang kecoh dengan aku. Diorang kata, apa hal Wak ni selalu cuti? Kan, I think a lot of people are pissed, man. Sampai ada yang cakap, ganti je Wak ni.
Yeah, they are not pissed because diorang suka lah, Nazrin.
Yeah.
Betul lah. I read the comments. Thank you everybody.
I sort of miss you lah.
Yeah.
Tapi aku nak tanya kau yang lagi penting kan. Kau pergi sana kau pakai sunscreen tak? Pakai?
Yeah.
Kau pakai sunscreen?
Kat beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one.
Alhamdulillah, Kahf sponsored us a whole box.
So dia ada SPF 50++.
Betul.
So that's why aku tengok muka kau macam okay lah, lebih kurang lah.
Still not bad, right?
Still not bad.
Lepas balik.
Still nampak macam anak Cina lagi.
Alright. So
yep. So okay, mungkin nak tanya lah, macam mana kau guna produk di masa kau punya diving trip?
yeah, so during dive tu I wore tebal punya. It's just more on before and after. Sebelum I wear Kahf, and then after diving tu pun I will wear Kahf juga bila depan matahari kan.
Yeah. Ni semua sebab lepas Alif hasut kau lah.
Tapi bagus tu. Memang it feels good.
Tapi kau pun bau wangi hari ni aku rasa. Kahf juga lah. Okay, jom lah kita introduce dulu lagi.
Alright. So beliau merupakan bekas pelumba racing negara yang telah mewakili Malaysia di peringkat antarabangsa dalam Formula 3 dan banyak lagi kategori perlumbaan elite. Alright, so elite driver. He was a former Mercedes-AMG Petronas F1 development driver. Beliau adalah antara pelumba terhebat Malaysia, terhebat dan tersohor.
Betul.
Dengan pengalaman bertanding di lita-lita yang paling ikonik di dunia dan pernah bermentorkan Toto Wolff, Lewis Hamilton dan ramai nama besar.
Okay.
Alright, so dengan bangganya kami memperkenalkan Jazeman Jaafar.
Hi guys, Assalamualaikum.
Salam. Thank you so much for being here, bro.
Thanks for having me. Well done guys on the set of the podcast. Memang menarik lah cerita semua.
Kan,
Thank you,
masya-Allah. Thank you. I pun yalah, I sebenarnya kita ni dah cakap nak panggil you datang podcast ni dah lama dah. Kan, tapi alhamdulillah hari ni lah baru kita dapat rezeki tu kan.
Itulah dengan clash of dates lah, dengan travel lah apa, tapi alhamdulillah.
And I think you ni memang jet setter lah, banyak jalan
Travel.
selalu.
I try. Nak accommodate semua orang not easy kan. But yalah, we try to make it happen lah kan.
But thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it, and it's something that we've been looking forward for lah. So yeah. Alright, Jazeman, if you don't mind, kita boleh kita start terus?
Boleh.
So I nak tanya sikit lah tentang you punya childhood. Kan, macam kita tahu you dilahirkan pada 13 November 1992, which is same year as me. Kita berumur 32 tahun. And you dilahirkan di Kuala Lumpur, betul tak?
Betul.
So how was your experience as a KL boy?
At that time, I mean, jarak antara my adik-beradik, they're a lot older than I am. I think my eldest is 14-year gap. Lepas tu, my sister is 10 years older than me. So I sort of grew up on my own, if that makes sense. Arwah my father was very busy at that time, and then he has his illnesses. So I found my way lah, alhamdulillah. And at that time, 6 years old, I pursued my career in racing lah.
Like macam mungkin I nak tahu sikit sebanyak tentang macam maybe how was your parents like growing up? Were they like strict? Macam you cakap you ada a big gap with your brothers kan? Kadang-kadang parents yang ada gap jauh-jauh ni dia dah malas nak parenting dah anak-anak kecil kan?
Betul juga.
So was it like that for you? Or?
Not really lah. My parents were very supportive, you know. I did quite several different sports lah, you know. Whether it was football ke, we were at the skating ring in Samui Pyramid playing ice hockey, or we were, you know, going go-karting or whatever. But I've always loved cars lah. I think cars was the one thing that my parents tak pernah ambil daripada I lah. So, but they were strict, but they were fair, you know. My dad always emphasized of learning English. So I spent a lot of time at that time dekat MPH belajar English. He let me read any book I wanted. Dekat MPH Mid Valley sekarang dah tutup. And then my mom always reminded to do my Quran sessions lah. So every weekend too I had my ustad and all that. So that was our routine before racing became more apparent.
How does that all like influence? I think like buat Jazeman siapa Jazeman hari ni in terms of the books and English and all this. Do you feel like
that's important?
Yeah.
It was. Masa zaman go-kart, I mean, that's where I met Ashraf as well. Kan we spend a lot of times with these mechanics and, you know, kawan-kawan dalam...
So Ashraf was a mechanic, is it?
No. He was a driver, surprisingly.
Not a very good one lah.
Tak, masa that era, you know, I never really realised when sukan pemotoran ni is quite an international sport.
Yep.
You know, you have your mechanic dari Spain, your engineers dari Italy, and etc. Tapi kalau tak boleh converse dalam bahasa Inggeris, then you're gonna be stuck, right? So I never realised that until a lot older, where the use of English lah at that time. And then obviously my mom to remind myself on the don't forget your roots lah, you know, your
pegangan
pegangan.
And maybe I nak tahu juga macam masa kecil dulu ada apa benda yang macam tiba-tiba spark your interest towards racing ni?
Yeah.
Or was it like after you started go-kart?
Actually dari kecil I started collecting these Hot Wheels and Tamiya cars.
Okay.
I've always had a collection of them. And then
selalunya orang kaya-kaya punya anak
tak ada lah. I was just obsessed with cars lah. I find it fascinating at that time. And funny enough, my son, 1 year, 7 months now, he's also obsessed with wheels. Yeah, which is
wheels.
Yeah, anything with wheels, like trucks and, you know, his toys are everything with wheels. So anyway, I had this one weekend, free weekend. One of our neighbours, my father punya very good friend, ajak kita pergi go-kart dekat Shah Alam. Didn't know what a go-kart was lah.
That was when you were?
I was 6.
6.
6. So we jump in his car hari Sabtu ni sampai Shah Alam go-kart track sebelah stadium tu. And then I saw kids my age racing. they were racing against each other. They had their own go-kart dengan baju. Wow, this is the coolest thing ever lah. So I jumped into one, and then I think my dad saw my fascination, and then he said, do you want to try? Maybe kita boleh tanya team ni boleh tolong organize ke apa. So we were exchanging contacts, and then the following week I tried. Memang tak sampai lah pedal tu.
Yeah.
6 years old
6 years old. So they had to put a wooden block. The older mechanic ikat tali. And then but we made it happen lah.
Yeah,
so,
and I remember juga masa tu bila you racing, diorang letakkan pemberat. And then you punya seat pun ada macam banyak
cushion.
bantal. Kaki tu pun ada macam benda extra kat depan tu.
Wooden block.
Wooden block. Tak sampai. So but I wasn't racing lah. Masa tu just doing laps insyaAllah. It became a hobby dulu lah. And then everyone started inviting us to these local championships lah. Then we saw the bigger side of
racing,
of motorsports.
So tapi masa you start tu, when you first got into that car, right? Do you still remember?
Oh, I remember. I had an oversized helmet. I had a suit that, I don't know, we got from Indonesia ke apa.
Okay.
And I wore Boy Scouts punya boots. But it was amazing because, who would have thought, 6 you can drive and you hitting curbs. And but I had this mechanic of mine, Sun nama dia. He was
Sun?
Sun.
Oh, the boss lah. Anak boss kan?
Anak boss, yeah. So he was the one who showed me the line semua lah.
Racing line.
Nak brake semua.
At 6 years old?
At 6 years old.
Wow. So you learn braking, lining.
Braking. I followed him. And then it was a Saturday, Sunday. Jadi Friday, Saturday, Sunday lepas sekolah. Then became Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday.
And then it became every day.
It became every day. So
And then it became every day.
Wow.
Most of
the week lah. It depends how you plan it lah.
Yeah, but that's crazy, right? At such a young age, and you were quite fast, right? At the start already.
I think I learned I got the idea of the basics lah. Slow in, fast out. Brake as late as you can. High speed too. You try to carry as much minimum speed. You got the basics lah. But fitness, because I was so small, so fitness was my issue. Because all my peers was like, they're already 10, 11. So dia punya build dia dah boleh handle kan. So stuff like that I needed to catch up lah.
But at that age you were driving against older drivers.
Betul, because cadet masa tu is actually 8 to 12. So I got an exemption at 7 to race. So but 8 to 12 tu quite broad kan. So even if I was 7, there was some people at 11. So not an easy group to just jump in lah.
Yeah, that was just cadet kan?
That was just
but
cadet.
I think you were in cadet for just briefly je kan?
Until 11. Then I moved to junior lah.
Okay.
Junior.
I mean, but walaupun you kecil, and then with that big age gap, you went on to menang sampai 11, as I faham kan? 11 that you actually won the races in Malaysia and both Belgium kan? So macam mana perjalanan you actually, Jazeman, from that part? From racing every day, from a hobby, demo of tengok budak-budak lain, and then becoming champion.
And belajar daripada Sun punya lining kan?
Yeah.
Sun punya lining
champion
pakai kotak. I nak tanya, nak tahu lah perjalanan tu.
Actually, I mean, it's laps and laps and laps lah. It's like swimmer juga. The more you swim, you find the ropes kan. But we always had to slowly, I did the club championship, Malaysian championship, then Asian championship. Then terbuka mata sikit lah because it's regional,
Bigger.
Different track, more crowd, and all of that. Then we were invited to do the European stuff in Belgium, which is another level of drivers dengan, they know the sport in and out kan. So that exposure I got was how I got better lah. I got a bit of the Asian exposure of how they do things. Lepas tu pergi Europe, diorang pun ajar another way to approach, how to set it out, how to set it down. And then
when you say set it down tu maksudnya apa?
Maksudnya like set it out, set it down. Sometimes go-kart tu kita dah sampai, benda tu dah pasang. But they will teach you how to dismantle everything.
Everything.
Yeah, even the engines they will teach you. So sometimes drivers ni dia pergi bukan just drive. So they they teach you how to take out the hub, the stub axle, the piston, the engine. So you are actually learning the engineering basics
parts of it
at 10, 11 years old.
Wow.
You know, so that's where there's more than just driving. So when you drive, then you know benda ni dah bengkok lah actually, or benda ni.
Oh, you boleh rasa?
Yeah, you can know. So that's where we learn from the exposure lah.
From 10 daripada umur 10 tahun.
When you come back and win championships, it's because you know the minor details kan of how to set up that go-kart.
Yeah, because go-kart ni pun a very macam sikit je margin dia.
Betul.
Untuk make any mistakes, but that will cause seconds tu sikit punya second pun dia dah boleh menang atau kalah kan.
Betul. And then especially macam kat Europe or Asia, you have like 30, 40 drivers as good as you. So how do you want to be better kan? It's just minor details.
Yeah, but you went for all these international races but won juga kan?
Yeah, I won the one in Belgium. The French championship, I think 6th or something. But yeah, we were fighting lah. But when I arrived to Europe, it wasn't just straight away lah. It took me 3-4 races to adapt. But then we started winning lah.
Yeah, masa tu ada tak any cool races with you at that time, at that category?
That category ada some of my peers racing now. Gasly was racing at that time, go-kart.
The go-kart punya ni?
French championship. And then there was a young Max Verstappen at that time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Max Verstappen was. So I was in junior. He was doing cadets. And he was at the track lah with the parents, and he was actually run by his uncle. It was called Jos Verstappen Karting.
Wow.
So at that time I saw him lah.
Interesting. Kan daripada kecil-kecil dah duduk with the international level punya drivers kan.
Yeah.
That became world champions today.
Betul.
Kan,
Betul.
amazing. Okay, Jazeman, I nak tanya you, who was your inspiration at that time? And yalah, I think macam kita tak ada banyak Malaysian driver yang kita boleh idolize.
At that time, right?
Our only driver that we have now is Alex Yong. And was it like any of your family member, ataupun was there anyone yang betul-betul push you to do this kan?
I think there's two people that really inspired me lah. One is Ayrton Senna on track, sebabkan dia punya I've never actually seen him race live lah, but I know who he is and how he approach racing kan. And there was also the religious side of him. I mean, he's not a Muslim, he's a Christian, but how much of a Christian he is that made him a better racing driver juga lah.
The belief lah.
The belief was very influenced. And on par to that is how much he puts a lot of effort into becoming a world champion lah. The second person is my father. My father was a jovial character. He was a very fun person to be with. Tapi when it comes to work, he was 120% because it's a one chance sport kan. If you don't make it, you don't make it lah.
Yeah, and I remember juga when we were young, your dad was always there with you.
Yeah, with his stopwatch.
Huh? With his stopwatch and also his cool sunglasses.
Yeah.
Remember the Mission Impossible sunglasses? Yeah. So this guy looks so cool.
Yeah.
And he was always smiling, very jovial, very friendly towards everyone. Kan?
Correct.
And but one thing I remember that he was always there for like all the races, all the trainings. Like he really invested his time into this your career. Would you say that?
Yeah, he loves it lah.
And was he retired already at that time?
No, he had his second heart attack actually, very young age, because my dad was a workaholic lah. So he had his macam rest sabbatical from work, which was almost a year juga. But he actually spent time at the racetrack, so that was an excuse for him lah. Tapi dia pun minat himself dari when he was young kan, with my grandfather and all that. So he reads a lot also. So that helped us lah in our journey. And then my dad pun sampai right up to my Formula 1 test, he was there. He never interfered, but he was just loving the journey we had together.
Oh, he didn't like give you advice ke?
No, my dad never interfered in any of our developments. But when he knew something isn't right, he just asked, what do you think of this trainer? Is he good enough for you? He spots things that that might needs improving lah. That was my dad.
Dia just macam silent viewer.
Dia silent viewer. Tapi dia dia tak masuk campur lah.
Faham.
That's why if you don't mind kan, this is a bit more personal punya question lah, because banyak orang juga macam more obvious lah, tertanya-tanya juga, what was your father punya occupation atau what was his business. Ada orang kata dia ni own all the parades, like Subang Parade lah, Melaka Parade lah, apa semua ni. Is it true?
He was involved in commercial properties, in shopping malls. He was also part of UEM Group, which he was doing the Commonwealth Stadium, the North-South Highway, the satellite building KLIA. So he was involved in that 90s era lah. And then he slowed down after his health deteriorated lah. Sampai ke situ.
Faham. But when you were young too, he was already slowed down already lah.
He was slowed down, but then he kind of came back into corporate world. Then he did his IPO and then he slowed down again lah.
Alright. So I think we can move towards the next, because thank you so much Jazeman for sharing kan your early childhood and all this. I just wanted to say juga yang it's a true inspiring punya journey, especially for us yang lebih kurang umur sama kan. For somebody yang gone around and all that, I've always known, but I've never mentioned to you that is actually you're quite an inspiration for all of us.
Kita tengok dia macam idola.
Thank you.
Boleh pergi race luar negara, boleh jadi champion apa semua. And I think,
and I'm pretty sure untuk banyak-banyak viewer kat sana, lagi-lagi sekarang with the F1 punya
F1 punya demam tu dah naik.
Demam tu
betul.
kan. A lot of people must look up to you juga with that. So pada tahun 2007, you secured your place in history as the first Malaysian and the youngest winner of the Formula BMW Asia Series at Zhuhai International Circuit. You were only 14 up at that time. How was the experience like, Jazeman? Especially being a 14-year-old kan? Betul tak?
So we were after that European karting journey that we were talking kan, we were hitting crossroads. What was next for my career kan? Because at that time dia dah almost professional level lah. But funding was always an issue kan. To go the next step, you're already dealing with formula cars, big tracks, big costs lah.
If you don't mind kan, kalau you don't mind to share, what was the cost like?
What
did you have to find?
At that time, maybe the Formula BMW was about $200,000 US or something like that lah. But that excludes your training and your flight and
all the extra
lah. But the drive itself, I think it was about $200,000 US at that time. So I remember we were hitting that crossroads, and I told my parents lah, like, this is the route we want to go, but we have to find sponsorships lah. So I remember after school, with my school uniform, we went to Telekom Malaysia and we raised a bit of sponsorship, and then we went to Sapura and we raised a bit of sponsorship, and then we went to Plus, so we got like 20,000, 10,000, enough to do the championship lah. So Alhamdulillah, we got that, and with a bit of investment in the training, so we gone to do the championship. But the main goal out of all of that was to be part of the Petronas Talent Development Program. So for some reason, masa tu dia dah ada Petronas Formula experience. They had the program to adopt, nurture drivers, but I wasn't selected, which I don't know why. Either I was too young ke, or not qualified or whatever. I was just never selected. They had the program running for 2-3 years dah. So the goal was to win the championship and to get Petronas,
the program.
Yeah. So we went on our journey. The first few races tak menang, and then we then found the rhythm, and then we started winning races. Came to the last race of the season lah. So the last race of the season, nervousness. You have this chance to win the championship. I had an Indonesian competitor, a Thai, and an Englishman, and we were battling. And I qualified very, very badly. I qualified 14 ke 13.
Typical Jazeman.
Yeah, not great kan that time.
not the qualifying, selalu belakang tapi
So and then I spoke to my parents at the night of qualifying eve too, and my parents said, you just do your best. Fate is fate. You just leave it up to God lah, and just do your best. So started 14th. Went up the order. The race start, I was 6th, and we were challenging.
At the start, you dah terus potong sampai 6?
About 3 laps in lah.
Oh, wow.
3 laps in, and then
You needed to get first place in order to...
I need the first place to win a championship. So on the last lap, I overtook and I won. And I won the championship by 1 point.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was sweating lah, you know.
Ni macam Max dengan Hamilton punya...
Yeah, exactly lah.
Punya fight.
Correct. Because I knew if I don't win, we might have stopped racing lah. Because nak cari funding semua macam mana kan. So I won the championship and I got the phone call from Petronas 2 days later.
Oh, you got the phone call?
Yeah, we got the phone call. Yeah.
Oh, but you were already imagining that lah.
We were imagining. We wanted dah compile CV semua, ready to send to Petronas, but we got the phone call on Tuesday.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah. So,
MashaAllah.
so then they gave the contract and then they said, look, this is the plan, blah, blah, blah. And off you go to Europe lah. So Europe was my next
adventure.
Tu lah, Allah knows best, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I wanted to ask also, like, was this the time where you realized, like, okay, this is it?
Oh yeah.
This,
when I won the championship, it's Formula 1 or nothing.
wow.
Yeah, it's Formula 1 or nothing because we went this far in my career, kan? So I started 6, 7, and then I'm 14, so 7 years in. Yeah. Or it's the next 7 years. Let's bite the bullet and do it.
Understand?
Understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, so I wanted to know juga macam, of course, you start from go-kart dekat Malaysia and then adalah pergi luar negara apa semua, and then you masuk international punya level, kan? So, and of course, these races are from around the world, and of course, dia punya standard tu lagi tinggi.
Betul.
So, how did you cope with the pressure bila nak bersaing dengan all these international punya drivers?
It wasn't something that I can just learn from reading a book.
Yeah, true.
It's like hands-on experience terus lah. But what I did was I've always had this visualization of my races. I like to do things that's a bit more routine kan approach. So I have my ritual lah. Sampai sekarang pun I do. I wear my boots on my right. I wear my suit on my right. My glove on my right. I go in the go-kart on my right.
Sunnah
Yeah, my little things lah.
Faham?
And for me, as long as routine tu semua, you know, kena and it goes through, my pressure and my mind just relaxes. You know, I listen to my music. I mean, I have my playlist lah. You know, to get pumped kan. But those routines are my routines that I just take a deep breath and it just calms down and I don't think about anything else.
Yeah, and you start this when you were 6.
At that time masa dah start pergi Europe tu lah, I needed to find. Because masa kecil pun you always watch Formula 1. You know, these guys like jumping and limping before the drive. So this driver tengah stretching lah, dia tengah buat boxing. I mean, different drivers have different approach kan. So I was like, maybe I need to find something that calms me down lah. So that's my routine lah.
Yeah, it works lah.
It works.
Kan, amazing.
Yeah, so everything, all you need is just 1 point lah kan. But interesting you guna all this sunnah punya. Did you take it from your idol, Ethan?
Not really. I think it's something I learned along on the way, I guess. I guess when you doa and you semayang, it just comes naturally, these things. But like I said lah, there's no book that says sebelum racing patut buat ni.
I think it works differently with different drivers
too.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if I did what Ethan did, it might not suit me kan. So
betul lah, dia Kristian, you Islam.
Macam mana? So in that sense, it's been 20 years already been doing this
Using
ritual
the same.
lah.
Faham. Okay, so kita semua faham yang actually, you know, racing ni bukanlah satu sport yang mudah and also not so expensive. Not so cheap.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's just like angan-angan kosong lah.
Betul.
Orang, kan?
Exactly. Tapi this is like lepas you dah masuk the Petronas punya development program, then how was it like after the journey, like after that, in terms of funding and all this, or was it just smooth sailing because you have Petronas belakang payung you?
Actually, Shraq, when I arrived Europe at that time, you know, I came as a BMW Asia champion. I won this in go-kart. I won that.
Wow.
So I was coming to Europe, ready to like
dominate.
Show everyone like, you know, who Jazeman is lah. You know who I am, right? And then when I arrived at one of the first races dekat Spain, I think. So I did qualifying and I was 18th.
But for qualifying, biasa tak?
Biasa, but I shouldn't be this far off lah. And then the next race, and then I finished the race 12th or something.
Oh, okay.
Something not that impressive. And then the following races dekat Italy, same thing, 19th. Then I realized, wow, this level is like super high. Like, what are they doing differently, kan? And it goes back to that same roots as what I spoke to you guys earlier about macam how they know every single detail and components on the car. Because everyone has the same car, kan? The single make series. So how do you enhance certain performances that suits you? You know, whether it's tire warm up or whatever. So I had to really understand how the European culture do to prep themselves tau. Dari at that time masa sampai Europe, barulah tahu ada simulator, barulah tahu ada all this assistance to help you in the car. So then year 2 only I started implementing, then started winning year 3 lah. But when you have Petronas on your shoulder, well, the expectations is even higher because I only had a year-to-year contract. So KPI based lah. If you don't perform, you get dropped lah. So at that time, Petronas had 8 drivers, I think. And you can see one by one getting dropped lah. Because they didn't perform, kan? So you're like, oh, this is
pressure.
This is the real deal, man. Yeah.
Wow, how did you handle that time?
Wow,
you went to back to basics lah, of course. Right?
I had to approach back to basics. I had a manager at that time called Bruce Joanny, a Frenchman. So he was also my coach, my driver coach. So he was a driver himself. So he guided me a little bit lah. Tapi sampai sana pun, you know, teams are much in a bigger scale. You know, kadang-kadang, you know, from Asia, maybe your crew pun 4-5 orang, tapi sampai sana 9 orang and you have to remember all of them, you know, that kind of thing. So culturally and you know, to adopt that lifestyle lah. So that's when I moved to the UK permanently to really pursue that lah.
Faham. Can you share during this period from year 1, year 2 sampai ke year 3 yang you menang, is there any macam kenangan, one story yang...
Yeah, this was BMW series, right?
BMW series kat Europe, betul.
Is there any one experience yang very down, very manis or very, you know?
Sedih ke?
Sedih.
Betul. Yeah.
Actually, in year 2 was the time I had my podium.
First podium.
My first podium in Europe lah.
Tapi masa tu Petronas tak sponsor.
Petronas dah sponsor dah.
Second year Petronas
sponsor. And my dad at that time he was doing his dialysis. So and we had to time his dialysis to come to my race lah. So macam Friday the dialysis, and then Saturday Sunday race, then Monday the dialysis. So you know, we had to do stuff like that lah for him to come to my races and all that. But anyway, that's beside the point. The point I wanted to make was, you know, we had to put in 5 times the effort as an Asian driver to make it internationally because we never had the exposure. Diorang ni dah the sport and the approach ni dah tahu, dah mature. Dia sampai start dia dah tahu nak beli helmet kat mana, barang equipment kat mana, training dekat mana. Kita sampai UK, siapa pun tak kenal. You know, which train should I go to find this training center? Yeah, obviously you can find on Google kan, tapi is it specific? You know, like in Asia, okay lah, lepas training boleh makan nasi lemak, but over there, where do you find your diet and all that, right? So all of that is a formula that you have to find yourself.
And I think maybe macam yalah, you dekat sana umur 14 tahun. Betul tak?
Betul.
27 14 tahun, and then you duduk dekat negara luar. Betul. I think you were based in London, right?
London that time.
You were based in London. Lepas tu you were 14, man. You budak-budak lagi.
Betul.
And then your dad pun dengan sakit dia, and I'm sure he cannot be there with you all the time.
Betul.
Siapa jaga you? Macam mana you know?
Yeah,
14 years old kot.
So my sister was my guardian kat sana. Tapi dia pun bekerja. And then my manager was based in France, so he also overlooks lah masa travel. Tapi like the day to day tu, you know, I mean I was doing courses in London. I was doing graphic design in London. Tapi yang buat jadual tu, I had to do it lah, you know. I had to find, okay, training 2-3 hours here, I have to do my coursework here, and then I have to plan my travels here. Because, yalah, you have Petronas investing in you. Takkan this corporation is gonna, I need you makan, you know, chicken breast, right? So, you have to find your route lah. That's where I realised drivers kat sana dah tahu macam mana nak
At that age?
At that age, yeah.
Wow.
It's a norm for them.
Dia dah macam independent at a young age.
Yeah, they knew what to do.
Faham.
Macam yelah, kalau kita fikir umur 14 tahun, some people macam yelah takut lah juga nak pergi luar. Kadang-kadang budak-budak sekarang ni 14 tahun nak pergi order McD pun dia orang takut.
Betul.
Kan?
Betul.
But you have to live abroad.
Betul.
Manage your own career bersama dengan you punya belajar lagi.
Betul.
Wow, that's just like, you know,
Yeah,
that's insane.
it was a big commitment lah, but it was a sacrifice we wanted to make lah, to make it kan. So looking back,
Menyesal lah?
tak, I enjoyed every minute of it. Because then I had to meet people within the industry, you know.
Faham.
And then industry players, leaders of the sport, and that's where my network just grew lah. It just grew and grew and grew.
Yeah.
I nak fahamkan satu benda. At 14 years old, right? You're just a kid. Lepas tu you have to manage this sendiri kan. You boleh pergi, either you become Jazeman who Jazeman is today, or you boleh actually go to the left yang, you know, suka hati aku nak buat apa, makan teruk, everything.
Yeah.
What actually, you know, made you be responsible, jadi seseorang yang bertanggungjawab and belok kanan rather than
at
belok
that
kiri.
age.
At that age.
How do you find that maturity, man?
So when I was younger, before I got Petronas, ada satu weekend ni training and my my coach and practice semua dah ready. So I was having a bit of fever lah, demam, batuk, you know. I wasn't feeling well, and then so my dad came to me lah. Today ada training tau. And I say dad nantilah, you know, and then we kind of postpone, and then the next day pun my dad kind of said, are you going today? And he said, I pun macam malas lah, let's put it that way. And he said to me, you know, if I have to wake you up for training, it's better for us to stop racing. So then I realized, because, you know, you're given all this chance, right? And you're not maximizing the chance that you have. So it's the same when I moved to the UK. So if I don't pursue it and I go back as a failure. You know, so I rather make it as far as I can, and then look back and not regret lah. So I look back and I don't regret anything. I knew I gave 120%.
Wow.
Amazing.
MashaAllah. Thank you for sharing.
Sometimes they say words have power. Kan, your dad punya word tu, I think it's so powerful, man. Like even macam kita lah, kalau kita nak hidup macam setengah orang kan, dia nak berjaya apa semua kan, and then they start blaming other people, tapi sebenarnya dia yang malas bangun pagi.
Betul.
Sebenarnya dia yang tak nak do more in their life.
Betul.
But dia nak benda-benda yang dia nak tu, but they don't have this realization. And I think you got it at such a young age.
Yeah.
And I think benda tu is like priceless lah.
Betul.
And inilah jalan yang you pilih.
Yeah.
Kau pilih. Jalan yang aku pilih.
Jatuh lah jalan yang Alright. So okay, I think that is about your Formula BMW series. I think lepas ni kita nak bercakap more into you punya F3 punya career.
Boleh.
And then you know, your turn into jumping into your executive role and things like that lah.
Boleh.
So for now we will take a short break, and episod ini dibawakan khas oleh Kahf. Kahf, produk personal care for men with high quality, halal and natural inspired product. Hashtag Jalan yang ku pilih. Alright, catch you guys after the break.
See you guys.
Hidup ni penuh dengan cabaran. Tapi dengan sokongan yang tepat, perjalanan yang berliku menjadi mudah. Dan Kahf yang sentiasa di sisi, membantu kita menjadi lebih baik. Dengan 5 kali powerful actions untuk kulit bebas minyak 12 jam dan menentang jerawat. Dengan teknologi Hydro Balance untuk membersih dan menyegarkan wajah secara lembut dan tidak mengeringkan. Teman terbaik dalam perjalanan, Kahf. Ini jalan yang kupilih.
Alright, welcome back to Apa Cerita Podcast.
Welcome back.
Okay, kalau kita dah dengar tadi kan, Jazeman dah cerita sikit sebanyak sebab tentang Jazeman punya childhood, and then how he raised from
umur 6 tahun pakai kotak-kotak pijak.
Kotak-kotak pijak, naik go-kart, menang international level, lepas tu masuk Formula
BMW.
Formula BMW Asia Series kan, menang champion kat situ.
Ya. Tapi semua tak lengah daripada cabaran. Betul tak? That is something yang we should highlight.
And aku rasa dia macam mature very young lah. And I think you started very young, matured very young, and you know you did so much. Umur you 14 tahun, I rasa you dah buat most people punya long career kan. Pada umur 14 tahun dah.
Kalau fikir balik pun 14 kita buat apa kan? Betul tak?
Dia lagi teruk sebab masa tu lah dia panjat pagar keluar daripada masjid. Bapak dia bawa pergi masjid, dia panjat pagar keluar.
Tapi pergi masjid juga. But anyways, it's something yang kita boleh ambil pelajaran lah. Terutama for ourselves and also untuk all the viewers kan. You didn't waste your time and you actually did something yang bermanfaat daripada umur kecil kan.
Alright, so Jazeman, kita teruskan dengan kita punya cerita ni kan. Okay, so you were promoted to Formula 3 after 3 years in Formula BMW kan. And you were with Rodin Khalid Motorsport, which you spent about 4 years in Farnham, Surrey, United Kingdom. So how was your experience like to train in the UK? And then what was the biggest difference and challenge you faced when you were there?
Wow, Formula 3 was a very I was so excited lah to move up the ladder kan. Itu kira dah
next step to Formula 1 lah kan?
Dia dah the next step. Then you have
Formula 2 is it?
Formula 2, which I did 3.5 lah, sama juga. And Formula 3, that's when you see drivers kan dah masuk development programs. So my teammate was a Red Bull Junior.
Wow.
My other teammate was a Renault Junior dan sebagainya lah. So everyone was already in a certain level. And
you were Petronas?
I was Petronas lah. So Formula 3 ni dia ada certain big races juga. There's the F3 Masters, masa tu dekat Holland. Lepas tu there's the Macau Grand Prix hujung tahun kat mid-November tu normally. And we were doing a lot of driving and testing. And that's when Formula 1 teams starts looking at
the scouting process begin.
Who is these guys? Are they good or are they not good? So Formula 3 was an exciting time. I was only 16 I think at that time. And we raced across the UK, and which I had to learn the tracks balik semula lah, because I've never raced in some tracks. Silverstone tapi macam Brands Hatch tak pernah, Snetterton dekat Norwich tak pernah, and all of that.
So most of the races are in UK?
In UK, yeah, British. Cuma two or three the big Macau and all that lah. So Formula 3 was another level. The cars are bigger, a lot faster. You need to be fitter and etc. lah. So now, what was my goal after that kan? So my goal after that was to shine in Formula 3 and to get my first F1 test. That was the mission. That was the mission. Because the mission before kan nak menang champion, dah dapat Petronas.
Ni dah dapat dah.
Dah dapat. Then dah masuk Formula 3. So what's the next mission is to get my next F1 test. So some of the drivers you see in Formula 1 now are the people I used to race with. So my teammate was Kevin Magnussen, Jean-Eric Verne. And I mean, Kevin used to sleep on my couch, for a few days.
Wow.
And he likes the Indian restaurant downstairs. And so
dekat London lah.
Kat London.
Bukan dekat Damansara.
Bukan. Yeah, the Indian restaurant kat situ. Lepas tu Carlos Sainz pernah tumpang kereta. We used to travel.
Carlos Sainz.
Carlos Sainz.
Carlos Sainz, everybody. Tumpang kereta.
So those are the drivers lah that was already in the program. So alhamdulillah, on my third year, finished second in championship. It was a huge mission lah to get there, because it was so competitive, big names. And after I fought my way, I finished second in championship. I mean,
the first year.
Yep. Third year.
The third year. Okay.
Third year.
In the British Grand Prix, right?
And correct. And then lepas tu, I had an email from Mercedes-AMG Petronas lah to come to the factory.
Wow.
So that was
This was when you were 19?
I was already 19. Yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't easy at that time, because some of my peers, Red Bull ni semua, yalah, different program kan, different way of approach. But my peers dah pergi Grand Prix, dah dengar headset, dah test Formula 1 car, they were so ahead of me. So I was like, why is it taking longer for me than others, kan? So I mean, time will tell lah, kan. So I had the email. I went to the factory, and then at that time I met Ross Braun lah. So Ross was saying, look, we've been monitoring your results and everything. We want to plan for your Formula 1 test. So alhamdulillah lah, I was.
That's it.
Yeah, I was actually nervous meeting him, and then he said, we want to plan for your F1 test. This is your timeline, and you have to learn everything. So I was commuting from London to the factory twice a week, and then I still had my F3 commitments, and then I requested for the team to bring me to the races. So I went to 7 Grand Prix, masa tu 6 or 7.
The F1 one lah.
F1
Just to see.
Yeah,
just to experience.
correct.
And stuff.
In which I met your father lah, Shah, at that time at the pits. So and that's where I learned lah. And then I sat with Nico Rosberg at that time, and then Schumacher was back in Mercedes, kan.
Wow.
So now I understand the next big thing, and there's like 22 engineers trying to operate this car.
From 4.
Sorry?
From 4 people.
From
4 to 9.
to 9 to 22. 22 engineers.
Gila.
And then when you arrive at the factory, kan, and I masuk this entrance, ni entrance wind tunnel. So salah entrance masuk wind tunnel. Ini stub axle dengan rim. Oh, jalan lagi. Oh, so the office is at the end of the walkway, because there's actually 700 people operating 2 Formula 1 cars.
Ni the AMG
The
punya.
AMG punya,
Petronas.
yeah, Mercedes. Yeah. So
And I
700.
think at that time Michael Schumacher was one of the advisor, right? And he was the one yang bangkitkan balik Mercedes.
Correct.
punya
So
ni
he
kan.
came back lah. That's why he made his return. And
As a
then-
driver?
As a driver.
Was
As a driver. So during that time, Ross suggested this plan. Petronas agreed to it, and then I committed to that plan, and then that's when I was training with Michael at the gym, and then I saw Rosberg in the factory, and we were exchanging notes, kan. That's when my knowledge and everything shoot up lah. It was a whole different level. But what was tough was, because you are given that access, your result has to be a certain level. So we had a training camp in Austria, and they benchmark your fitness with Rosberg.
Wow.
They don't benchmark with...
And Rosberg was an F1 driver already.
He was
right?
already an F1 driver. Your VO2 max, your margin has to be a certain percent. Your strength had to be, your neck strength so that certain level, you're like, wow, like how do you do this?
Even for you, a 19-year-old.
Yeah, it's nothing. I mean, I guess it's like football, right? You arrive from the academy and you're going to the first team, and then takkan time tu baru nak training kan.
Betul.
So Ross said, look, this is what you have, this is what you provide. We want to groom you, and this is the plan. So I had to stick to it lah.
Berapa lama camp tu?
The training camp we had in Austria was almost a week. Tapi the build up to the training camp tu dah 3 bulan lah.
You're not ready for
because that
fitness.
results will go to the F1 team. There's no macam, ni nak alter sikit ke, tak ada. The result is emailed to the F1 team, and they will know whether you're ready or not. Kan? And then the simulator, bukan you drive the current simulator terus. I drove this simulator called DIL3, called driver in loop lah. Yang 3 is like a video game lah, whatever simulator you see kan, it's in a cockpit shell, and then they promote you to DIL4, dia dah ada motion, and then DIL5 is exactly like the race
It's like
car.
G-force and all that.
G-force and everything. And then I remember the simulator is like is a projected mirror, so that you don't know your distance. So they already estimated how you react to the race car. So
macam real lah.
Macam real. Yeah, all the buttons are real. And then from then I started doing race support. Maksudnya kalau dia ada race dekat Australia, the race support team is also live from UK. So if the car has a problem, I have to test in the simulator to transmit the data back. Yeah, so I was involved in that development program lah for 4 years. So that was my journey with Mercedes, how I grew as a driver lah. And then when I grow, that's when I met all these people in Formula 1. I met Nico, I met the Toto, I met the the engine HPP in the UK, and then I met the owners of Silverstone. You meet
the owners of Silverstone.
Wow.
Yeah, you meet so many incredible people because that's where Formula One brings you lah kan. So, and Mercedes included me in their media activation, media events kan. So then Mercedes was say, oh, this is our Petronas young driver. So that's how they
How many young driver was there? Was it just you or?
No, there was myself, Sam Bird, an English driver. And then 3 years later, Ocon came, Esteban Ocon. Lepas tu Pascal Verlaine and some others lah. That they were
So
good.
bukanlah ramai-ramai yang jadi test driver.
Tak, 4 aja. 3-4 aja. 3-4 je.
Kan.
So yeah lah. That's how the door really started to open. But then the pressure is 10 times more
higher
than what I dealt in Asia lah.
Dia macam you when you were BMW tu macam SPM. Kan? Nanti ni dah masuk F3, ni dah masuk college kan. Dah masuk university ni level, right?
Correct.
But I'm interested, I want to bring back to your camp tu kan. You have benchmark to Rosberg punya fitness. I'm sure you actually pass lah kan, of course.
I honest truth, I wasn't the same level as he was lah. You know, I mean, he has been in Formula 1 that time, dah 6 years kot. So, you know, his build and his muscles and everything was all already...
Took longer than 3 years lah.
Wow, he was already super strong and they were training... They did a lot of high altitude training now.
Wow.
So, very minimal oxygen and all that kind of stuff lah. So, I was like, oh, how to change... Sampai UK ingat dah certain level. But now to reach Formula 1 is like another level. So I had to, I was probably 20% of him lah. So I had to find that bit of 20%. But for Formula 1, if the bosses think you're ready to do the seat. So Alhamdulillah, I had my first test with Formula 1 in Silverstone.
Okay, I nak tanya you kan. Of course, you've worked with so many legendary names in F1 kan. Ada tak any one name yang you rasa macam, oh, this guy is the best person that I've ever worked with?
Niki Lauda.
You work with Niki Lauda?
Niki Lauda, it was the chairman of the team.
When Schumacher came in, he was also brought in, right?
It was Niki's idea to bring Michael in.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have a picture of him, which I met him in Sepang tau. When he came to Sepang, he was staying at that Summer Hotel. And I asked for his signature. At that time, I was 7 years old.
Oh, so young.
Yeah. So the day that I got the email and I went, and Niki was in the factory, and I showed him the picture. And I said to him, I don't know if you remember me, Niki, but I've actually met you in Sepang. He said, I remember you. That's why I offered you the test. I told the management to offer you the test.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pasal dia ingat.
He remembered this Malaysian boy that asked at the Malaysian boy. So the day he passed, I owed my F1 test to him.
Wow.
So I posted it up on Instagram. The same picture that I showed him. Yeah.
Aku punya bulu roma naik dengar ni.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I think because I pun pernah tengok you masa you kecil kan. I think people can feel that fire, that passion in you in tu kan. I think that's why you made that mark in Niki's mind kan.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story. Yeah. So you would say he's the one of the
He
best.
was one of the he was very as a person dia very honest. Dia tak suka bazir
being around
masa.
the bush apa semua.
He doesn't like it, you know. And then Mercedes had a mission. Their mission and Petronas had a mission to go back to winning ways lah. And they came a long way. And they didn't have the biggest budget macam Red Bull or Ferrari kan. So and Niki was already pinpointing the team to already plan ahead. You know, whether it's young drivers or young engineers or whatever, he knew what it takes lah. Dia maybe in front of camera dia tak cerita, but you know he's there lah. Yeah.
But knowing this kan, Jazeman, like does anything yang jadi waktu itu contribute kepada AMG punya winning streak yang we've seen?
Yeah.
Okay, so the I was heavily involved 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15 lah, roughly.
I think they started winning 14, 15.
Yeah, they was at 14, 15.
So it was your contribution basically.
I mean, it was everyone's contribution. I mean, 700 people plus me, 701 lah.
But everybody, you know.
701. So, honestly, I think Michael Michael Schumacher laid out the sole foundation of the team. It wasn't in winning ways, but he laid out this championship mentality lah. When Lewis came in, it totally changed the dynamic. It totally brought the team to another level. For example lah, like I was learning over 40 plus buttons on the steering wheel and different modes dekat simulator, semua data. So when Lewis came, he just brought it down to 16.
Wow.
Yeah. So why do you need 42 buttons? So here we are thinking that, you know, you need 42 buttons to operate this car, blah, blah, blah. He brought it down to 16 and it makes the team simpler. Kan? So perhaps Michael has brought this whole dimension of ideas, but Lewis narrowed down the team. That's how we brought into winning ways.
Wow.
Super. And then Ross was retiring, and then Toto was the current boss, young, dynamic. So they just narrowed down together with Lewis and brought the team forward. Yeah.
And that's why today I'm wearing Tommy Hilfiger because they're also one of the partners.
Betul.
I'm a huge Mercedes punya fan.
Oh,
and
I see.
think I saw that macam lepas Michael left, they continue on the legacy, and then Lewis won like 7 times in a row or something like that, right?
Betul.
They dominated the whole thing.
Oh yeah, and they really laid out the team. When you see the insights, obviously that when you see on the outside, they have the bigger sponsor lah. No, it's all planned from 2010 already.
It's the vision.
It's the vision.
It's the vision and the mission.
Betul.
Always wanting to go back to the winning ways.
Betul.
Kan?
Yeah.
And I think that is something yang kita as a person can learn a lot from this big corporation. Kan, diorang buat benda bukannya sambil lewa. Diorang buat benda bukannya macam okay lah kita menang kalah-kalah lah. Kan, they have a mission. They have like a really plan out punya strategy and execute it like, to the point kan. So I think
maybe to highlight also the attention to detail kat situ.
Yeah.
Every single thing.
Who would have thought, right? 700 people to manage 2 cars.
Betul.
350 per car. Kita pergi servis kereta seorang kat minyak hitam. It's 350 operating 2 cars. It's very impressive.
Betul.
Yeah.
I wanted to highlight also the driver punya contribution ke dalam F1 ni, like how you shared also off camera juga kan bro. And also when you went to Europe first time, you saw you had to understand every single ni. And again you highlight bila Lewis datang, dia tukar daripada 42
buttons to about 16 I think.
To 16 buttons.
Something simple. Yeah.
Kita nampak driver ni ingat driver kan. Right? Celebrated driver kan. Tapi actually there's a lot of engineering punya knowledge dekat belakang juga.
Betul.
This is the pinnacle of motorsports bro.
I rasa nobody knows that. Even I pun tak tahu.
Betul.
Bukan kau punya bapak pernah own F1 team ke?
Ya, mana?
Ini pun kau tak tahu.
Tak tahu lah driver.
Terus lah nampak sangat umur 14 dia tak ambil kisah. You're not like Jazeman.
Definitely I'm not like Jazeman. Legendary bro. Anyways,
so kita nak cerita juga pasal you punya greatest achievement lah. Bring it back sikit with Rodin Kali Motorsport kan, when you managed to secure podium by winning 2nd place in the British Grand Prix. So you know, pergi dekat negara orang, Malaysian boy, and securing 2nd place at such a prestigious circuit kan. So maybe you can bring us back to that time sikit.
I think that time pun I wanted to prove to a lot of people lah.
This was pre test driver.
So I wanted to prove a lot of people that I can do the job lah. So I wanted to win the championship. You know, I wanted it to be in my CV. Perhaps I put myself in a lot of pressure lah. Maybe unnecessary kot. But at that time pun I knew the fitness, I knew the food, I knew what it takes lah. But I won in Asia, then I moved to Europe and I knew the next step kan. But surely finish 2nd pun, I maybe looking back at it now, 10 years ago now, 12 years ago, it's not bad either that if you finish 2nd lah. You know, if I lost the championship by 3 points ke apa. But that set my mark in my career. Because people will still remember that I was one of the guys that fought against Carlos Sainz.
Who was number 1 at that time?
That time was an Englishman called Jack Harvey. Jack Harvey now races in America lah, IndyCar yang
Pusu,
oval tu kan. He has a incredible career in America. So I'm second, and then Carlos and stuff were 5th or 6th, something like that. Yeah, at that
lagi
time.
gempak pada science
Science was masa tu first year, I think. First year in F3, and I was third year lah in F3. So but masa tu, I put myself in a lot of pressure, maybe a bit too much to lose that championship. Tapi in racing world tu, people remember lah. Formula 3, Jazeman actually finished second, and he was one of the championship contenders. So to set the mark.
Which also is a stepping stone for you to get into the Petronas punya program kan?
Betul.
Not program, the test drive.
Correct.
Actually, memang I can relate to this, putting a lot of pressure to yourself kan. Bila kita letak pressure banyak kat diri sendiri, kau actually buat lagi teruk tu.
Yeah.
I did this the same when I was in year 3 in my university. I wanted to score really good, so I put so much pressure. Tapi teruk. So I went back to yang chill way, terus score balik.
It works lah.
Yeah.
It works. Yeah. But sometimes at that age tak perasan kan. So you just push yourself kan.
Betul.
Unnecessary pressure lah.
Betul.
But maybe that also pushes you to work harder juga.
Betul.
Kan? Macam awak tu mungkin lagi party ke apa, dia tak cerita.
Asal
Kau lama cuti. Lama tak bagi.
But it's okay, right? Everybody love our new co-host.
Not me. Dah kurang. We love you, Nazrin. Okay. In 2015 pula kan bro, you made to Malaysia, you made Malaysian sports history again by securing podium at the Monaco Formula Renault 3.5 World Series.
Betul.
With Petronas punya liver.
Betul.
And in the Kalin car kan. So getting podium in Monaco, how was that experience like when you dapat dengar lagu Negaraku tu dimainkan, and how proud were you at that time?
Wow. Okay, so Formula Renault 3.5 ni dia macam Formula 2 lah. It's the last step already.
Just before F1.
Just before. So half of the grid are all reserve drivers of Formula 1. Out of 10, 4 is going to make it already lah, you know. And it's the same peers. So yang dah F3 itu, yang Kevin Magnussen, kalau semua pula naik lah.
Macam routine drive lah.
So some are coming from different championships. Tapi World Series or Formula Renault 3.5 was the last step. And I did Formula Renault 3.5 for 3 years. So 3 kali race kat Monaco. First year habis nombor 3.
Oh.
Second year habis nombor 3. So I told myself, wah, dah 2 kali tak menang ni, third year I have to win it lah. I have to really win it.
And Monaco is about qualifying, right?
Yeah, it's all about qualifying because there's no overtaking, and you know your pit stop semua kan, it's lah, you start in front, you finish in front lah. So and then there was suspected rain that weekend. So it's gonna complicate things a bit lah. But anyhow, it didn't rain. So I managed to put everything together and qualify on pole lah. But what people didn't know before the race, I actually had a gearbox issue in my car after qualified pole. So masa keluar tu from the outlet to the grid, I couldn't shift gears. I was stuck in first gear.
Whoosh.
So there's this macam actuator pump tu, it was leaking, and normally it takes half an hour to change. So I told the team, and then the team spotted the problem, said, "Oh, Jazeman, we might pull you out of the race lah, because it takes half an hour of the race." I said, "Guys, I'm starting on pole, takkan tak boleh try kan?" And then they started running around. So on the grid, they were fixing the actuator, and they managed to do it in 7 minutes.
Oh,
with tape and pipe and whatever lah. And then the actuator tu pinjam team sebelah punya.
Ya Allah.
Not even the same
Not
team.
even the same team. So he just found on the trolley and said, I buy you dinner tonight, can I just borrow your actuator? Dia cabut, pasang, blah. Normally takes half an hour. And I started the race on pole. So obviously my tires weren't great. It was cold.
So masa dekat grid tu, they were doing that?
Yeah, they were doing that. I mean, you
Gila.
can watch the race on YouTube. You can see at the start, my car was full of mechanics trying to take out the actuator, and then air leaking, and then all that kind of stuff lah. It was so hectic. And then we started the race. I didn't have a good start, and then
But you didn't go second or anything?
No, I led the race, but the second, third, fourth tu quite close. And then I had a safety car, biasalah scenario semua. And then after that, I just pulled a gap and I won the race by 16 seconds or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's far, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
16
itu
seconds.
betul-betul balas dendam lah.
Yeah.
Not this time, man. This is my year.
Yeah,
Wow.
I was so happy, and then I got the car. Lepas tu and negaraku plate lah. Negaraku
Masya Allah.
plate. And it was in front of the F1 crowd kan? F1 crowd and the F1 teams. And then my dad was watching at this cafe just kat first corner tu. And the podium was right next to the cafe. So I saw him after the race and we cried lah because it's a journey kan. From Shah Alam go kat track to Monaco. So we won and my trophies are still at home. So yeah, it's been great. And then and Formula Renault 3.5 was my next turning point lah of my career.
And how did you feel at that time?
Wow, I felt I was in the game lah. I was within the big boys. You know, whether the guy sebelah ni Red Bull ke, sebelah ni McLaren Junior ke, we are equally as good as them. So
Because you won Monaco, because Monaco is like the pinnacle of racing punya tracks.
Betul.
Kan?
Yeah, betul.
Either Monaco or I think it's Monaco. It should be Monaco. Kan?
Correct.
And the oldest track also, right?
It's the oldest in the calendar lah. That's the 90 years, something like that lah.
Yeah, it's a street punya track, not easy to win. Something yang a huge achievement lah. And I feel like at that time I pun kat Malaysia pun kita pun tahu juga that became a news. I remember masa tu dekat berita harian utusan buka belakang ada gambar you menang kan. So I think as a Malaysian we were really proud to see the achievement and to see Malaysian winning at Monaco kan. And masa tu F1 and also Formula 2, Formula 3.5 sekali.
Dia some races dia ada together, tapi Monaco was the jewel lah sebab dia F1 support race. So F1 race dia tengah hari and then my race was in the morning pukul 10.
Formula 2?
Formula 2 was I think after us, like at 12 or something lah.
Dia macam ada
build up lah.
And masa you were at the Renault Formula 3.5 tu, who was some of the competition that is still driving today?
That is still driving. Pierre Gasly was there, Meyer, Kevin Magnussen was there, Carlos Sainz was there. Ramai juga lah that year. Some went to sports cars, some they were big names lah.
But these were like the best of the best.
It was the best of the best.
And this Formula 3.5 sebelum ni Schumacher apa semua, were they from?
No,
Schumacher was Formula 2, right?
Dia buat Schumacher era Formula 3 terus Formula 1.
Tak ada Formula 2.
Tak ada. They just jump straight. 3.5 ni the unique sikit because to explain to the viewers, Formula 3.5 ni is either you go A-levels or you go IB route.
Faham.
Okay.
So I chose the IB route lah daripada A-levels which is F2. Tapi your end goal sama, right? So at that time pun F1 teams were looking at both anyway, whichever talents that are, how do I say, sparkly lah.
And of course that journey in Formula 3.5 3 years kan. How was that? Maybe boleh cerita more on that,
in depth a bit.
In depth sikit on
any
that
specific
phase.
moment.
Actually
that was you were already 20, is it?
I was already 20 2021 masa tu. At that time
you were already a teenage yang dah lepas sikit.
Betul.
Dan masa tu mungkin I tak tahulah kan, I don't want to assume lah, tapi mungkin masa tu lah start orang ajak-ajak pergi party ke.
Dah ada misai masa tu.
Dah ada misai. And then dah boleh masuk club-club. And then you were like, you know, bukanlah all the time ada orang tengok kan. You are free to do whatever you want kan.
Actually distraction was very easy at that time. I think that's why.
And then supermodels, international supermodels.
I mean you go into Monaco before the race, you have an F1 pass, and Ishraq, you know this, right?
I don't know.
You know better than me. But you have all this access, tapi to get distracted is so easy. Even I was living in the UK, living in London, you get distracted so easily, but have to manage lah. You have to manage yourself and know where the limit is.
Do you think you were distracted also in a way?
No, I balance lah. I work hard and then I also enjoy hard lah. But you know your timing. Kalau dah summer break tu, you have 5 weeks then
You balas dendam.
No,
Then you go to Ibiza.
no lah, you release yourself, but you know that you have some competitors are actually in the gym training. You know, you have at that level, kan, whether you run 5 kilometers, you know someone's running 6 today. So it's always racing driver ni. There's no rule book tau. There's no right way or wrong way to train, but you know someone's doing the extra lap. That's what's in my mind lah.
And in order for you to be the pinnacle in motorsports, you have to be the best in every shape and form lah. Betul lah. Mind, fitness, physical and everything.
Betul.
In business sama juga up. It's like, you know, whether you start at 5 or you start at 8 kan, you punya team and how your team is fired up and whether you do that extra work.
Betul.
And, you know, it's the same as Nia kan.
Betul.
Ada je kompetitor yang kat luar tu yang tengah work harder.
Betul.
That's why you got to do more podcasts, man.
More episodes.
He's on to me, man. Anyways, alright. So I believe that lepas tu you join McLaren GT.
McLaren GT, yeah.
Correct.
But I think this one is also like another
a route lah. Yeah. So post Formula career.
This is you ada stop sekejap
the Formula 1 door closed on me at that time. So I had to make a decision lah fast. So I had an offer at that time to race for McLaren in sports cars. So I took that offer and you know it was paying well and based in the UK semua. So I pursued that career lah at that time.
Yeah, I believe you joined Jota Sport kan. Signed you in 2017. Then after that you joined Jota Sport. And they decided to keluarkan full Malaysian lineup.
Correct.
For Jackie.
You did for Jackie Chan
DC
Racing team.
Yeah. So
Jackie Chan was your boss lah sekejap.
Correct. Yeah. He owned the team lah basically. But it was run by Jota, which is a prominent English team.
Racing team.
So Jackie wanted an Asian, actually all Asian lineup. But it's not easy to find the right match, kan? So with a bit of
semua Malaysian.
With a bit of support from Sepang and KBS etc. So it came back to be all Malaysian lah. So the goal that time pula was the 24 hours of Le Mans lah, the prestigious 24 hours.
And that is the pinnacle of
endurance
GT.
racing.
Endurance racing dia yang paling atas.
Paling atas sekali. Yeah. So we went and then alhamdulillah we finished 4th overall.
That was 1 year.
1 year saja. 1 year saja. So it was superb lah because World Endurance Championship, I mean, all the big names were there lah. Kan Jenson Button was there. Alonso did a sabbatical and did World Endurance Championship. There was some ex-F1 drivers.
Alonso, the
Formula 1. He drove for Toyota that year. So it was awesome lah.
Big drivers also.
Big drivers.
But the 24 hours endurance race, right? You drive for 24 hours.
So dia tukar-tukar. They call it stint. So per stint tu is almost an hour. Depends on your strategy lah. So sometimes you can do double, triple or quadruple. So you can be in the car
4 jam.
For 4 hours. Then you rotate lah. So each stop tu dia ada fuel stop. And then the driver change is full service, they call it. So which is driver, fuel, tyres.
And I think at that time you were lined up with Nabil, Weron Tan, and you guys basically won the Fuji endurance race.
Yeah.
Kan? Yeah. So I nak tanya you lah, apa you punya perasaan bila terpaksa, I boleh kata terpaksa duduk satu tim dengan you punya sebenarnya kompetitor sebelum tu. Macam Nabil, macam I sendiri pun dulu I selalu tengok juga you atau Nabil, we always fikir siapa yang akan go into F1 kan. I always put my bet on you lah.
Thank you.
But I think Hadi apa semua they put on
Nabil. No lah, no lah, everyone came from different backgrounds kan. When I was in UK, Nabil was in Germany, Weron was in US. We never really, maybe younger lah, race with each other. Tapi dah tentu masanya to race together. It wasn't easy in the beginning because lain approach kan. One came from the US and then Nabil had his ideas, then I had my ideas. So the first race was
Nabil was speaking in German lah.
In a way lah. first race too, we were trying to get up to grips. Obviously, we made some mistakes in the race, masa pit stop and all that kind of stuff. But once we found the formula, we were
unstoppable.
Yeah, winning ways. We were beating, teams that has been there for 10 years, that kind of stuff. So we found a synergy lah to work with each other. But we did everything together, training together,
sleep together,
travel. There was some macam dekat Le Mans, there was like bunk beds, because dia dekat dengan track kan. So
tidur bunk bed sama Nabil.
I mean Nabil was across the other room lah. Tapi stuff like that lah.
Lonti itulah kau.
Yeah, we were on that journey lah together.
Yeah, but was it difficult to like, or do you always find him as a friend kind of thing, ataupun sebelum tu you tengok dia as a competitor juga?
No lah, I mean we're friends, but more so teammates lah. We're here.
No, before that, the teammate.
No lah, just racing friends lah.
You tak tengok dia sebagai competitor lah.
We were different timing kot that time. Dia pun macam junior sikit.
I think 1 or 2 years.
1 or 2 years, correct. So
They say keep your enemies closer, right?
jadi teammate pula. Yeah, so there we go.
Tapi lepas dah makan nasi lemak sama-sama tu, lepas tu the synergy kick in.
Duduk kat luar negara sama-sama
makan nasi lemak.
Ada something common kan.
Correct.
Yeah, and of course macam tadi kita ada cakap you ada pernah menang dekat Fuji kan. So how was the experience like winning it with the boys?
Wow, it was special lah. Weiron cried the most out of all three.
So you beat Alonso and all that lah.
At that time we beat Anthony Davidson masa tu. So I was doing the first 2 hours I think or something. First 2.5 hours, 2-3 hours. The race was 6 hours lah. So it started wet, completely wet. And then the race dried out lah. So I called for the strategy earlier, and the rest was still. So basically, we were leading, then we dropped back because I called for the strategy earlier. Then we led the rest of the race, and then Weiron took over, then Nabil took over, and then I took over at the end lah.
So basically, you guys won because of you not Nabil.
We called the strategy early, but we still had to keep the gap lah from the others. Sebab kalau ada safety car ke, kena langgar ke apa, tak ada buffer kan. So the buffer was enough for even the teammates to let on lah. Screw up or whatever. I mean there's always scenarios kan. Kalau kena puncture ke apa kan. But we were enough to win lah. So we won 14 seconds from second.
Wow, that's a big gap man.
Enough.
So you paved the way, and then dorang just kena maintain.
They have to maintain and not make errors lah, and then finish the race at the end.
Understand. Wow,
amazing. Okay, sekarang ni I nak mungkin beralih sedikit lah. Later we go back to the personal story. Sekarang ni I nak jump into the executive role. Kan, I think you were appointed as the board of director for Sepang International Circuit in March 2019. So apa you punya pandangan terhadap landscape motorsports negara ni? Could it be improved? Dan bila you rasa Malaysia boleh bawa balik F1 to Sepang? And what do Malaysia need to do in order to see this sport achieve greater heights?
So there's 3 parts to it lah, 3 questions kan.
Yeah.
So number 1, it was when I came. So after that World Endurance Championship punya mission, and then I came back because I was still in the UK, balik Malaysia kind of thing. So 2019 was the time I actually properly came back to KL lah.
2019.
19, yeah.
That's like right before COVID.
Right before COVID, yeah. So 2018 tu dah back and forth.
Masa tu GT lagi ke tak?
Masa tu dah GT. That's when we started the Johor racing team, Johor Sport Racing. And then I received a call from the Sports Ministry to share my ideas lah of what Malaysia is lacking and needs lah. So I did a paper to KBS and everything, and I said this is what is lacking, blah 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 blah. And then about 3 months later, I had an offer letter to be on the board lah of Sepang, and I was very honoured.
Until today, right?
Yeah, until today. So dah 5 years dah. And was to focus on the direction of Sepang, the motorsport development, the governance, and all of that lah. So I did the entire framework with Deloitte at that time, and brought this whole structure to SIC lah. obviously it's not easy because it's government owned kan, to unlock certain ideas. I mean, you have older people on the board kan, and you have a 27-year-old kid trying to tell you that's wrong. It's hard, right?
But a world champion though.
But you try to word it correctly lah. So alhamdulillah, the motorbike program is pretty much running itself. We have more talents now coming into the sport. Now we have esports as a platform. Kan, the go-kart fraternity is growing and etc. So the framework could have been better if there wasn't COVID, but at least it's happening lah. So that's one part. The other part of bringing Formula 1 is a question I get all the time lah.
Ya, boleh dapat salam bocor.
The course is difficult lah guys. Betul daripada zaman dulu sampai zaman sekarang with the exchange rates and
But now it's better. It's 4.2.
But staging cost lah. Maybe to host it boleh, but to stage it, your concerts, your everything, it's very expensive.
Banyak associated cost.
Correct.
Just for the event lah.
Yeah, correct. And you cannot sign macam dulu you boleh sign 3+3 atau 2+2 kan?
Now 10 years.
Now it's 10 years. Yeah, you have to sign 10 years because kebanyakan this Arab countries kan, macam Qatar Grand Prix, Bahrain Grand Prix, etc. Semua dah sign 10 years. You have to be in the calendar.
Dia dah ada prerequisite.
Betul. So the cost is even higher and etc. lah. So I personally think it's a good time to bring it back, but maybe timing is not there yet lah.
InsyaAllah.
But I think it's the best time to bring it back, because now you are seeing that the interest in this F1 dah lagi naik daripada dulu because of all this Netflix punya series. And then I think now is the right time lah, and kita boleh tengok all the Arab countries dia dah masuk, and then even the US have so many races.
Correct.
It has become much more commercialized lah. Kalau dulu F1 ni, I think it's more of like for the elites, but now dia dah masuk mass. Dia dah start to have bigger viewers and things like that. So I think it's a good time to bring it back kan.
Yeah, we never know lah. Maybe
pressure.
Kahf can sponsor the staging course kan.
It'll be good kan, Kahf. This motor racing kan.
Yeah. Jalan yang aku pilih.
Jalan yang Kahf pilih. Alright. So and the last one, what do you think the Malaysia need to do in order to see ni?
I think there needs to be a certain end goal lah. I think throughout my journey pun, I'm sure you guys have heard, every step of my journey there is the end goal.
There's the objective.
I think Malaysian motorsports, we have the talent, we have the platforms. Cuma certain end goal tu is not very clear, whether we want our talent to end in Formula 1 ke, in GT ke, endurance racing, because dia ada macam-macam disiplin. So what are we focusing on developing, investing and nurturing? Dari segi motorbike juga sama. I mean, we produced Hafiz Sharin, at the pinnacle of MotoGP. But pelapis dia, what is next? Takkan
Succession planning.
So we have to really look into 5 years, 5 years ahead to plan our talents. On the pelapis. It's not cheap, but at the same time, the industry of the sport is growing kan, elsewhere is growing, so takkan we want to miss the boat. And now the Thais are producing talents kan, the Indonesians baru-baru ni pun involved in Valentino Rossi's team, so why are we not jumping on the same bandwagon kan? So that should be our direction lah.
Has to be done lah. InsyaAllah us Malaysian, kita akan rely on you. Kita kat belakang rooting. InsyaAllah. Doa kan.
Jadi ada dalam kementerian, dalam belia dan sukan, ada satu sub ministry yang fokus on racing.
Betul.
Kita suruh Jazeman jadi minister.
Amin.
Kita kenalkan dengan Kahf. Anyways, so Jazeman, you also lepas tu dilantik sebagai Executive Director Persona Energy Sdn Bhd, which also I understand is also your company, right?
Yeah.
And the founder of the Technology Transfer Apprenticeship Program, TTAP, a comprehensive partnership dengan Porsche Motorsports, Raja Muda Selangor
Foundation,
and also Youth and Sports Ministry Malaysia, KBS. right? In developing human capital development program designed to enhance automotive skills, knowledge and also technology transfer of Malaysian talents through participation in the global motorsports scene.
Betul.
Wah, quite a mouthful. So what do you hope to achieve from this? Because just now kita pun, when we understand, it was more about drivers. But actually, you know,
So
given...
kita salah faham tadi. Because at first we thought, you are trying to develop more drivers.
Betul.
But actually, when we had the actually you are actually developing engineers.
Yeah, betul.
Yang
And
akan
technician.
membantu all the sports team.
Correct.
And things like that kan.
Betul.
So we can talk about that.
Throughout my journey ni, dari BMW ke Formula 3, 3.5 and a bit of Mercedes years, I notice kenapa tak ada Malaysian in this journey juga, you know.
Dalam 700 orang tu tak ada Malaysian sangat.
Tak ada Malaysian sangat. Adalah maybe interns, apprentices or placements 6 minggu, sebulan kind of thing lah. So it was during COVID that hit me quite hardly lah. Like, hey, you know, this is a huge missing gap in the region. And I formed up the syllabus lah. And I worked together with one of the head deans of University Technology Malaysia kat Johor, Dr. Azman, who was involved in motorsport, and said, you know, we looked at the syllabus and see what does it need to be enhanced lah. So at the end of the day, I formed out the syllabus with his support, and then I formed this program, fully scholarship and fully nurtured, as a bridging program for talents. So alhamdulillah, first year we signed with Mari as a part to try to enhance it, and then we had Yayasan Peneraju in the second year, and alhamdulillah, my mission was to sign with a manufacturer, and then Porsche Motorsport Asia Pacific. From Shanghai, they're based in China, but it's AG, and they came in on board to pursue this lah. So alhamdulillah, we nurtured over, we had 95 now, 6 more, so about 100 talents already lah. But we want quality over quantity lah. So the placements are 7 months. Diorang akan bekerja directly dengan team, shadowing the current mechanics, engineers semua. And they will get endorsement certificate by Porsche.
So dia orang akan belajar dengan Porsche punya
race teams terus.
Race team.
So I will do the orientation, their cohort scheduling semua, and then they will have their hands-on experience lah with the team. But out of the 6, we make sure there must be at least 1 woman to push women engineers, women in motorsports lah. So alhamdulillah, we have very, very talented individuals lah in the program.
Is there any success story of amongst the 95?
Ada. I mean, I have one talent. He was the highest score talent last year. The eldest of 5 siblings. Bapa penuri getah, mother housewife, and their goal, their own personal goal was to make the eldest succeed. Okay, so they sacrificed whatever they had for him to finish his career. So diorang ambil student loan, and he finished his diploma in automotive technology, I think. And so happened his CV landed on my desk lah, so to interview him. And he joined the program. He passed the program flying colours, and now he's working with a team called Phantom Global, one of the big teams in Porsche. And so when I spoke to him, you know, the fact that he took student loan dan sebagainya to sacrifice his way, it would have taken him almost 16 years to pay back his debts lah. So now, because he's working with Porsche and the big teams, he has cut down to 5.
Wow.
So that is one of our giving a chance to underprivileged to make it to the top lah.
Understand. So does it actually function like a charity punya organisation, the one where you do, or how do you actually make money from this business?
So I think more so we want to give, because I want to give back to the sport, you know. My ways at Sepang, there's ways that I do it, but there's my own ways that I want to develop and nurture lah.
Understand?
It gives me a very close ties dengan orang-orang Porsche, you know, they're a very big organisation and etc. Obviously it takes time for certain things to grow, but I want this national hub to be a nature a natural way for talents to just come into motorsports. Macam kat UK, Germany semua benda ni dah biasa. Dah normal. So kenapa dia gap kat sini kan? So I want to bridge that lah.
Understand?
I nak tanya pula pasal back to your racing punya time.
Boleh.
I think tadi you stopped in 2018, I think. 2017, 2018. And then pada tahun 2019, you started with Tengku Temurun Johor, Tengku Abdul Rahman. And you were part of the 888 race engineering, the Johor Motorsport Racing Team lah.
Betul.
So you were driving for them for about 4 years. And you were also appointed as the vice chairman of the road safety for Johor kan.
Yeah.
So maybe you can tell me a bit about your role dekat road safety council tu, and also some experience you masa you tengah racing dengan Tengku Temurun Johor, Tengku Abdul Rahman.
So first things first, the council tu, Johor had the highest accident rates. So at that time, Exco Dato' Asni was in charge of trying to solve this issue lah. So together with Tuku Idris at that time, they formed out this council to try to bring down the accident rates lah. There was a lot of speeding, there's a lot of illegal racing dekat Johor, and there's a lot of different things lah that was happening. It was quite bad. So they offered me to come and give my inputs, and I think the first things first that was lacking was just awareness. You know, road safety equipment awareness. You know, dari segi helmet or even
tak pakai helmet lah,
tak pakai helmet, you know, pakai safety belt, and then budak-budak kanak-kanak tak pakai child seat. You know, that the awareness was just so low at that time. And then I was trying to connect to get the FIA also to uplift the image of road safety. They did it in Singapore. Then by the time dia nak buat Johor, dah kena COVID at that time lah. So we had this whole pipeline to work together, and alhamdulillah, Tuku Idris put JPJ, he put Bomber, police, all the council heads together to say, look, this is our goal and this is how we're gonna reduce the accident rates lah. And everyone worked hard together lah to get the awareness out there, to get public biasakan road safety ni priority. Jangan sekadar nak pergi kedai pun tak nak pakai helmet. Sekadar nak pergi rumah mak mertua pun tak nak pakai seat belt. You know what I mean? Make it a habit lah. I think that was our mission at that time. So it was a great honor to serve a state where my family was from, and work together with department heads lah. So masa tu that was on Road Safety Council. Tapi on the racing team was special because
that one was with Tengku Abdul Rahman.
Tengku Abdul Rahman,
Tengku
Idris, yeah. So Tengku Abdul Rahman, the family is into cars lah. I think it's a known fact.
I think kita pun boleh tengok dengan betapa banyak kereta yang
dia really betul. Tapi it wasn't easy to get Tuanku's blessing lah. I think that was the biggest mission. So alhamdulillah, Tuanku gave us the blessing to start the team, and then we race in we call it GT World Challenge lah dekat Asia. And Tunku Abdul Rahman worked very hard to get his approval, get his race car, get the team to come and everything to run. And we had our podium debut lah dekat Sepang. First race dapat podium.
Wow.
Yeah, we were very far off lah, but we worked so hard to get that podium debut, and then alhamdulillah lah. And then after that, the team grew. They raced in Australia dan sebagainya. And then the third year, we got Tuku Abu Bakar in the team. So the youngest. And
youngest prince.
Yeah, he's natural lah. Dia memang...
Oh, he's better than Tuku Rahman?
Dia bakat dia... he's fearless lah in that sense. But all siblings, because of the army mentality kan, JMF and everything, everyone is punctual, on time. You know, when you tell them, this is how I train 3-5 times a week, they will train 3-5 times a week. Yeah, I think that's Tuanku's regimented upbringing lah within JMF dengan the army kan. So that's the true side lah. Sometimes you think Prince, Tunku, they can do whatever they want, but because of the regimented lifestyle kan, is how they were brought up.
Discipline and work ethic.
Work ethics.
And I think those characteristic tu memang kena ada lah dekat you know orang-orang yang hebat ni kan. If not they can't be that great kan.
Betul.
Yeah.
Betul.
So but was it difficult to yalah your partner is a prince kan, you mesti takut. I mean I tak tahulah, mungkin ada perasaan yang macam takut you cross barriers ke bila you nak advise dia ke, bila you nak ajar dia ke, you know, things like that.
I will always remember who he is. I will never, you know, I have my habits of not crossing the line. You know, I don't walk next to him, you know, macam belakang sikit, or I do things with awareness lah. You know, I've never called Tengku bro, or because you're my teammate. Just because you're my teammate, I can call you bro. No, I've never done that. I will always remember who he is, even today or 5 years ago, or whatever. But when it comes to work, we work together as a team. Dia pun sebagai individu yang yalah kerabat kan, dia pun tahu what it needs to be needed in the team juga.
What needs of him
juga. So you know, Tengku you got to push. So he knows he got to push. Tengku this part nak kena improve lah. Okay, you know, you have to play your cards lah.
Interesting, man. So did you guys win a lot at that time?
Alhamdulillah, yeah. We won in podium in Sepang, podium in Fuji, Japan.
MasyaAllah.
Sepang, alhamdulillah, we got that. And then we parted ways lah. So I had my next chapter in my career pula.
Alright. So masa tu apa, did you guys have like a championship punya tu ke, ataupun it was just like more on races basing?
We had a championship. I think we won team championship 2022. And then drivers championship habis number 6 tak, 5-6 lah. So we were quite in the top end. Tengku Abdul Rahman was also with Australian teammate. Diorang habis second, so we were always up in the mix lah. Banyak teams masa tu from Japan and all those big teams lah from there, from China.
Why did you guys parted ways, if you don't mind?
Just different timings lah. They wanted to do races elsewhere, macam Intercon in America and etc. And then I wanted to do more in Asia and all of that lah. So we just went separate route.
Okay, I understand.
Alright, Jazeman, I want to bring back sekejap dekat just now right before you masuk McLaren punya team and you signed for 10 months, right? So that part, you said that F1 door was shut. Yeah, so what actually happened, and you know, what made you tukar you punya career target?
So actually selepas after I won in Monaco, I had an F1 offer at that time.
Wow.
It was a 1+1 year deal with a Mercedes powered team lah.
Which was?
I had two
Williams.
lah. One was Force India and the other one was Manor Grand Prix.
Okay, this was 2000.
Yeah, at that time lah. So obviously reserve driver dulu to develop and plan, and then it was the race seat. Because we heard at that time Nico Hulkenberg was leaving the team. So we had a timeline, and this was certain sponsorship we needed to raise lah. So we managed to raise a sponsorship. We wanted Petronas on board dengan tourism, dengan KBS and a few corporates to make it happen. And we were there. But unfortunately, during that heavy political era, everything was frozen.
Was this 2016?
2016.
Oh, the 1MDB punya case.
So everything was frozen at that time, and then the oil price tanked, kan?
Yeah.
So Petronas was also retrenching jobs. So retrenching jobs in comparison to Jazeman to Formula 1 was hard to justify, kan? And then there was a change of management. So my timing and my rezeki wasn't there lah. But I had a counter offer to still make it happen, but we couldn't meet it on time lah. So the contract is still in my mother's house.
Wow.
Yeah, it's still on the desk, but I never signed it lah. Suit semua dah siap. Yeah, waiting to announce je.
And how did you feel when that happened? Macam, yalah, you've worked so long, you've gone so far, you've reached the pinnacle of every other races dah. Go-kart, F2, Formula 3.5, Renault, you know, and you are almost there at the reaching point. Dah nak sampai dah. And then suddenly, all taken away from you?
It was painful, guys, to be honest. Tapi I never really dwell on it. I accepted the fact that maybe my rezeki is not meant to be there in Formula One. I know my peers are all there. I mean, some are friends and we're still texting each other. Tapi perhaps my rezeki is elsewhere lah. You know, I'm enjoying my racing in endurance and GTs. You know, perhaps if I was still pursuing that, I wouldn't have thought of my corporate career now, kan? I wouldn't have, you know, enjoy my livelihood as a father now at home, kan? If I was doing Formula One, would have been 23 weekends.
Mungkin tak kahwin lagi dengan
maybe I will follow Ishraq wherever he goes.
Or Ishraq will follow you.
You know, stuff like that lah. Maybe my rezeki falls in different places.
Yeah, but I'm sure it must be quite heartbreaking, right? To work so hard, came so close, and then not even you're doing that you can't enter, kan?
Yeah.
It was like more of like financial punya benda,
Betul.
Was there anything else that you could have done to get that spot?
Yeah, there was one more route which was Mercedes side lah. Maybe Mercedes could have subsidized the engines or brought something to the table lah. Maybe the negotiation side wasn't.
Who was doing the negotiation?
It was my father, Bruce, my manager, and also Petronas side lah. Maybe that time, dah nak change of management. Maybe the goalpost was moving lah, kan. So it was all timing. So when the door opened, you have that timeline to make it happen or not lah. So unfortunately, we couldn't lah.
But why not the year after try again?
We did actually. The second year too actually dengan manner lah. We did. But yeah, it was difficult lah. It was difficult because I already prepped for everything. So meaning I had my Formula One super license. I already prepped fitness wise. I knew the team. I knew the engineers, etc. But it was just that bit of funding to help on the running costs of the teams.
And what was the funding like? What was the figure like?
I can't remember lah. But it's not a lot. It wasn't a lot to what it is, because some of the teams need some drivers that you see even now in Formula One. There's always some package that for the juniors on how they arrive. Even Sergio Perez, kan, Mexican driver, when he arrived to Formula One, he had Telmex, Roche France Oil, Visit Mexico, and etc. So they were ready to invest in him in Formula One. Sampai Mexico ada Grand Prix. Sampai ke dia jadi Red Bull punya number 2, you know. So they were really ready to go the long game. So now the whole country is behind him lah, basically, kan. Whether
it become a national sport for Mexico now,
it becomes
man.
a national sport. Yeah. Now dah ada pelapis. You know what I mean? So Mexico was ready for that lah. So I mean, the tickets are sold out at the races. Telmex is doing businesses with Red Bull and whatever, kan. So, you know, the whole package makes sense lah.
And you think, kan, if lah scenario change, you made it to F1, where do you think you would be today in terms of racing with the current lineup?
My dream was always to drive for Mercedes. Yeah, because I was there almost every other week. Kan?
5 years, right?
Yeah, every other week I was at the factory. I knew a lot of people in the team. Some of the teams that are junior engineers that time dah jadi main engineers. You know, some got promoted to directors. Some rambut hitam dan rambut putih. you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, my goal was to drive for Mercedes.
Do you think
in Malaysia.
if you got the chance, do you think you'll be able to get podiums and all that? For Malaysia?
100%. Yeah, 100%. I think I worked very hard in Formula 3 and 3.5 level to be with these guys, kan? So it's not that I'm praising myself, because I worked hard to get within those guys, and I race within those guys. And when I see Formula 1 nowadays pun, I know where they are actually, you know. So yeah lah. But
if you could have gotten a chance, you would have at least gotten a F1 podium.
I would say it's not far from reaching lah.
Kan, sebab masa you were testing, you were not far off, right, from Nico and from Hamilton. What was your time like?
I think the benchmark maybe about 4/10 off, around there.
Bahasa orang yang tak tengok F1
0.4 tu macam klip mata lah.
Yeah. 0.4 saat.
0.4 saat.
Bukan
0.4 saat.
0.4 saat.
Ke belakang not even 1 saat lambat. 0.4 saat.
And macam kalau kita tengok, I mean just to give a context, macam Alex Yong dulu macam was quite far off, right?
I mean maybe that time pun jentera tu, creator tu maybe did not suit him. Maybe fitness wise he was rushed to get into the sport. Tapi racing ni, motorsport is actually a long term game. You know, whether you really to bite the next 3 years or the next 5 years. Sometimes these managers or these team bosses pun, they know what ingredients are needed kan. So maybe Alex was a bit rushed too lah at that time. Tak tahulah, I was too young to know pun.
Understand. Okay, Jazeman, I just wanted to ask juga kan, macam when you got that offer from F1, was your dad was he still alive?
He was. Yeah, he was. It was after the second offer tu was when his health deteriorated lah. So he knew. I was actually in the hospital with him, and we were talking about it lah. You know, and I told my dad I was ready to accept the fact that the second door is closing, and then I was already sending my CV to McLaren and Mercedes, and we were doing the deal in the hospital at that time.
to send CVs untuk?
For the drive with McLaren semua lah.
Okay.
So that time, even though you
trying to get other opportunities with
although,
other team,
other teams and manufacturer ni, they've heard of you, but they don't really know. You never worked with them kan. So macam hantar CV tu refresher. Hey guys, I'm here. You know, macam tu lah. So I remember lah that time I signed the deal at the hospital, I think. Yeah, before my father passed.
And I think, yeah, of course, your dad was a big part of your whole career, and then he passed away. Can how did that impact your career, and how did you feel when he passed away?
He was a huge contributor lah in my career. My parents were, but my dad punya passion is always remembered by many lah, you know. Tapi it made me work even harder. It made me realize that, you know, racing is not everything. You know, I feel family is everything. That was my true realization that, you know, what if one day there's no more racing? What do you do, right? It made me realize that, you know, even if I was given a chance to race as though it's your last, because you never get it again, kan? Mana tahu. So when he passed, that's when my realization was to work even harder than how much he did to help me in my racing.
And maybe this journey will continue on with your kid, who knows, kan?
Yeah. I wanted him to play badminton, but unfortunately he's into wheels, trucks, toys and cars.
So mungkin darah hatuk dia tu sampai kat dia. Darah bapak dia.
Mungkin he will be the Malaysia's F1 driver. Who knows?
Right? Next gen.
Next gen.
We never know. Yeah.
Let's make that happen. Kalau dia minat lah.
Yeah. Betul.
Alright, so Jazeman, looking back at your career, apakah pencapaian yang you feel yang paling you banggakan? And also, if there's something yang you boleh do a bit different or you could change, what would it be?
Paling membanggakan was obviously the when I first drove the Formula 1 car, it was in front of KLCC.
Wow.
The demo was in front of KLCC. I think that was my proudest moment lah, paling membanggakan. Because some people dapat F1 test kat Silverstone, kat Spain ke mana-mana lah. So when I did the demo in KLCC, I did the donuts and all that kan. And I think most of my family members and the Petronas heads were all there. And I felt super proud lah at that time. And they will never happen again because I remember DBKL had to close the road lah, nak kena
sekarang dah jadi benda lain lah.
Dah tak boleh lah. I remember that was the last time that they can host macam a road show right at that time. But maybe to turn back time on that journey, perhaps maybe we should have sometimes certain level ni, kalau Mak Saleh negotiate dengan Mak Saleh daripada Mak Saleh negotiate dengan Asian kan lain sikit. Maybe berbahasa tu is a lot easier. So perhaps I would have gotten a better negotiator or better deal maker to
make it happen.
To put the puzzle together on that last mile kan. Sometimes on that journey tak perasan, maybe we knew what to do kan. We knew how to deal with KBS, or we knew how to deal with Petronas, and because yelah Malaysia dengan Malaysian kan. Tapi to deal with the big guns in Formula 1, they know a lot more than we do lah. That bit was the hardest bit because there's no rule book and there's no guide to.
Mana ada orang kan?
Tak ada. So
and you probably the first to arrive there also.
Correct.
To arrive at that destination.
Betul.
Kan?
Mana boleh nak call uncle mana kan, advice.
Oh bro, macam mana? Tak ada. You arrive there and you got to negotiate.
But I think one thing that you get out of this is the wisdom and also the experience, the whole experience. And you know, mungkin satu hari nanti, mungkin when this happen to your anak ke, this happen to our anak cucu, anyone that tu, mungkin they can refer to you, and then you would have a better, you know, at least you have paved the way, and you have you know, dah sampai ke satu level yang kita semua tak pernah sampai, and pave the way for others, and hopefully bila you know the younger generation come to that point, they can break to that last mile.
Yeah, betul.
Not to mention Allah tahu knows best. Allah always knows best for you. Mana tahu satu hari Jazeman you become bapa motorsport Malaysia, right?
Ataupun kalau masa tu you jadi F1 driver, hari ni you jadi liar.
Betul. Tak dapat anak yang mana.
Tiba-tiba dia punya wife Taylor Swift. Alright. This is our last question lah before kita nak you punya advice to our audience kan. Do you think we will ever witness a Malaysian racing driver after Alex? And apa pandangan you tentang pelapis yang sedia ada dekat Malaysia?
The F1 level, Malaysia racing level.
I think there needs to be more hungriness lah. We have the talent, but the hungriness to sacrifice everything to get there. Sometimes, like I said to you guys lah, kebanyakan tengok sukan pemotoran ni sebagai glamour, dapat pergi sana sini, dapat bawa kereta F1, you know, dapat sponsor jam, you know, all these shiny things lah. But the hard work, the sacrifice, the going to find sponsor with your school uniform, you know, I don't see that spark in the short term lah. But I really hope in my lifetime there will be the next you know, pelapis selepas Alex Leong lah, insyaAllah.
Kan. So but it's still a far-fetched punya situation lah for now. Yeah, I think betul sebab dulu kita boleh nampak Jazeman Jaafar, kita ada Nabil Jeffrey, kita ada a few other yang kita nampak macam okay, these guys are going to F1, but today I think we need to revive this and create the spark balik.
Betul.
Sebab Malaysia should be in the world stage.
Betul. Kan? Fully agree.
Okay, Jazeman. We have come almost to the end of our show already. Mungkin I nak dapatkan sedikit advice lah daripada you to our audience that want to be the best version of themselves.
Honestly, it's very simple. Just never stop chasing the dream. Until today, I'm still chasing a dream. Simple.
Kan, amazing. So thank you so much, Jazeman. I think your story has been inspirational. I think banyak sangat benda yang kita cerita hari ni sebenarnya benda yang I sangat-sangat nak tahu. And something that I've always wanted to know. And today interview you pun I dapat a new found respect for you juga. And I like the way you carry yourself juga. I think you are very well media trained juga.
Betul.
And bila I tanya 3 soalan, you tahu I tanya 3 soalan. Dia macam very ni lah, macam power lah. But that's beside the point lah. Tapi your story daripada kecil, your determination, your perseverance, your hard work, and you know I was privileged juga untuk tengok your talent, raw talent depan mata I. Masih potong tu lah kan. Boleh nampak raw talent. And
that's pure rawness.
You can see this small boy but have a big heart, you know, ready to conquer the world. We were rooting for you. But you know, in the end of the day, I think for me, you're still a champion. You have done so much to make the country proud. You are a real legend in this sporting journey, and you have gone yang paling jauh yang kita pernah pergi. And I hope with your story, apa yang you lalui, this can inspire the next generation juga untuk reignite this dream and make Malaysia ada nama dekat dalam mata dunia dalam sukan pemotoran ni, especially dekat dalam F1.
InsyaAllah.
Anything from you?
Bapa pemotoran Malaysia. For me, just thank you so much, and I quite love your story also. And sebagai seorang yang quite international, you can see you raced with Carlos Sainz and all this. I'm pretty sure I can imagine my cousins punya reaction and all that. They are super into F1, and plus I like how you carry yourself. Kan, given a champion punya ni, you tak very humble, tak bukannya sebagai seorang yang sombong given your achievements, and for that I appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
And also for spending your time today, bro. It's amazing to hear your story first hand. Terima kasih banyak-banyak.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me. It's a huge honor to be on your podcast.
Thank you.
Alright, so thank you so much everyone for tuning in. It's been almost 2 hours.
Yep.
Almost 2 hours. I think story yang sangat best, story yang sangat layan lah, especially untuk I yang sangat sukakan motorsport dan juga sukakan racing ni.
Yep.
So thank you so much for tuning in. Episod ini dibawakan khas oleh Kahf.
Kahf personal care for men with high quality halal and natural inspired products.
Jalan yang ku pilih. Alright, so thank you so much guys. InsyaAllah we'll see you
in the
next week. Ada next week?
Ada.
Alright, see you guys. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh. Nazrin.
Hidup ni penuh dengan cabaran. Tapi dengan sokongan yang tepat, perjalanan yang berliku menjadi mudah. Dan Kahf yang sentiasa di sisi membantu kita menjadi lebih baik. Dengan 5 kali powerful actions untuk kulit bebas minyak 12 jam dan menentang jerawat. Dengan teknologi Hydro Balance untuk membersih dan menyegarkan wajah secara lembut dan tidak mengeringkan. Teman terbaik dalam perjalanan Kahf. Ini jalan yang kupilih.